Hello, once again. We are back, the Nut Bar. Returning up from a short break after a rather lengthy awards show, but we'll get into that for a second. This episode is our mid-season check-in. We are going to be talking about all the winter 2023 anime that we're watching, what we dropped, what we didn't like, what we're enjoying. But first off, we're going to talk a little bit about our awards show. If you haven't checked it out yet, you don't have to. I'm just going to say this right now. Normally, I would chill our content, but it was like 6.5, 7 hours, and I don't actually expect anyone to.
Like 7.5.
If you don't listen to the whole thing, you're not a real fan.
That's true.
I have someone texting me like he's been watching it over the past like 3 days, like hour at a time.
If you think about it, it's kind of just like an HBO event show if you just spread it out over like a couple of days, and so that's worth it. But you can also skim through and check the categories and see who won. Anyway. So yeah, check that out. It's on our channel. But that was the past, and now we have to move on to the future. Now we are briefly going to go over some of the shows that got delayed. Unfortunately, this season, Bovid hit real bad in production. I think it spiked in cases around December, and it's still kind of bad. So a bunch of shows got delayed, including some of the more high-profile ones. So we are going to briefly go through those and talk about if we watched any of them. I think literally Tim is the only one that watched. Oh no, we watched some of Kubo, but we're going to start with NieR. So tell us about that one real quick, Tim.
So the first episode was rough. I mean, we talked about it a bit in the preview.
So the
but
next
like,
ones.
It was ambitious. They basically tried to do like 1-to-1 from the video games, and it was like hard to go back and forth between 2D and 3D. And then it kind of goes like anime original for the next couple of episodes. It's very different from the game at this point. It's interesting, but it's also like it doesn't feel like NieR-ish. I don't know if that's the right word, but
Do you think it's like a worthy adaptation or like not kind
it's
of?
not an adaptation because, like I said, it goes off like this original stuff too. Like it does this whole thing with the robot AI mystery thing. It's I really don't know what to think about it.
Awesome.
Of all these like 3 shows, NieR is the one that's the most up in the air, just because I don't really know what it's doing yet.
Yeah.
Still, even
would you recommend this to new people, or like just say like play the game first?
Like I said, it does its own thing, so I think you can like treat it as like it's an influence, but its own like spin-off version of it. At least at this point. That's why I don't really know how to feel about it.
Just gotta wait until more episodes come out.
Yeah, and then the quality was kind of like up and down as well, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the one.
Okay, well, what about Kubo? Kubo-san wa Mob wa Yorusanai.
Yeah.
That one got up to like 6 episodes. Did you watch all 6?
All 6 are not out yet. Episode 6 comes
6
out
is what they're
next
going
week.
to before the delay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
They'll stop it. Well, you watch a little bit of it.
Yeah, me and Juan watched this one, or at least episode 1.
So, well, we watched episode 1. And you watched episode 1, and I watched up to episode 2. Kubo-san is very much like a teasing show, like a teasing kohai show, and like it's a dime a dozen, in my opinion. Like it doesn't do anything that much different from the others.
I think that this is one of the better shows of this genre that it's trying to do in production value wise. I think it's really pretty. They have done a very good job at making the show look really nice. I thought it was fine. It was okay. It was cute. I just was bored with it. Unfortunately, the pacing's a little bit slow, and I find it hard to get invested in these, like, I hate to call them wish fulfillment high school shows, but like, I'm 26, and I don't need to pine after high school.
Well, they're not even high school; they're middle
audience. So it's fine.
They're like middle schoolers.
Yeah. True, yeah. So they're even younger, yeah. So it's just. I think that this one will have development, which is nice because some of these types of shows might not, but this one looks like it's going somewhere. But I don't care. If it's your thing, then watch it. It's cute. But
unfortunately, we are 26-year-old men. We are way past our middle school phase. You saw more of it.
Yeah. Did you have any more additional thoughts? Because I know people do like this one. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's one of the more popular shows this season. I don't know where one is staying when it's a dime a dozen, because it's literally like the third one
that's
ever been made. and the second one being Nagatoro, and Nagatoro was like a very, very different vibe.
I don't want to audit them, but this is a popular genre that has had a lot of recent entries, so it's been a little crowded.
I think I wouldn't really call it Fishman either. Like, it's just like compared to the other shows, I think this one is probably the best of the three. The interaction with the characters feels more balanced and it's more fast paced. You can see the relationship growing at a more like natural, good, exciting pace. Like, yeah, I don't want to go too much spoilers, but I wouldn't have called wish fulfillment. It's more just like simpler, like it's just a wholesome, just like down to earth, just like cozy romance show. And I know that's not like one Chris's kind of show, but for its genre, I really have no fault with it. Like the art play, the characters been doing good. I'm having a good time with it, and it's of the 5 episodes been out so far. I think they've all been pretty great.
Well, then it's a shame it's getting delayed. Too bad.
Yeah.
We'll probably come back to it next season if that's when it ends up getting finished, but we'll see. And then let's go Unite Up really quick. I did mean to watch episode 1 of this, but it got delayed almost immediately, I think. So there weren't that.
It got a very short delay. It's coming back literally this week.
Oh, okay. Well, then this might actually be. I didn't realize.
So
I thought it was more.
It was delayed for like 2 weeks.
Okay, so this is a show that's still going to count for this season.
Yeah, it's actually pretty competently written.
It's the male idol show.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I may actually go back to it now that it's gonna be a show. I didn't know it got resumed.
They all got a really nice dynamic between the between all the characters in the groups. The 3D itself is good. The only thing is it's just a really like jarring contrast to the normal animation, so it kind of takes you out of it. But like, it's animated well enough. I just think, was this Cloverworks doing this? I forget who was doing this one.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it's Cloverworks. It's Cloverworks.
Yeah. I'm sure they could have done 2D, but like it's fine. But yeah, it's actually, yeah.
Okay, we're on watch. We'll see if it holds up when it comes back. Cloverworks had a better track record this year, at least the last year.
Okay, this year. Okay. That's what I have to say.
So Cloverworks just had the 1 year that.
Yeah,
was just
2021 was stinky,
and
then it got better. All right.
They picked up this shit.
Okay, so that's it. We are going to go into the main shows that we're watching. These are going to be all the non-sequel shows. And then we will go and do a quick run of the sequels that we're watching at the very end. We're going to start out with a show called Ars no Kyojuu, which episode 2 of which I watched like half an hour ago. So this is, I think we talked about it briefly last time. I think we went through all of these. So I'm going to keep the summary light. But for those who don't know, it's kind of doing an Attack on Titan thing, but in a much more fantasy world. Like you can see there's like people that got animal ears and shit. There are these big godlike monsters that are trying to attack humanity, but humanity has adapted ways to deal with them and fight them. The main way they have done this is by these people that are called paladins that fight with, I don't remember what they're called. They're like weapon energy people. It's not quite like Soul Eater, but it's a little bit like Soul Eater because they go into the weapons. This show actually has not gone very much into the macro plot yet, even in the first 2 episodes that I've seen. There is a lot of world building going on as you learn about kind of the dynamics of the world and how things work. But the main character, who's this pink-haired girl, is an experimental weapon thing lady who has a lot of untapped power and escapes from her imprisonment and meets up with this guy on the right who is older, who was an ex-paladin, used to be a fighter and has kind of retired, and then hijinks ensue. I liked the first episode of this. There was a lot of action. It was pretty well done. The characters were interesting. The world building was interesting. I don't know. I think my my bar of quality was pretty on the floor this season, and so when I watched this one, I was easily impressed. But I don't know. I liked episode 2 as well. It's like doing something. It's got some creative ideas going into it. So I'm rating it as like solid right now. We'll continue watching.
Unfortunately for me, I so the first time, I watched episode 1 twice because the second time I was rewatching it with Mark, and the first time I was high, so like I was just straight up confused both times, like even when I wasn't. So like this show is a lot to take in because like it just like throws stuff at you constantly, and like I just cannot keep up.
For the record, I don't think it was that hard to keep up, and I think that they are being like drip feeding you information because it's a story and you find things out as stories goes on.
But like if we still don't got the macro plot by episode 2, like that's
we have the hints of that. Like by episode 2, I have an idea of what's going on. I don't want to get into the deep plot summary of it, but it's pretty clear what is going on. Okay. Like if you want a show that like we'll get to it later, but that is confusing and dense in a way that makes it is hostile to the viewing experience, that's Hikaru no O, but we'll get there. Anyway, I don't know. I get that it didn't grip your attention as much, so which is fine. But
yeah, your mileage may vary with the show.
I found it to be very extremely mediocre on the story and character on basically all fronts, actually. Episode 1, I give it that has some cool animation stuff, but like moving on, like it was just a straight downhill from there. It's like 5 episodes in at this point. Nothing really gets explained at all. Nothing ever.
Wow, still no macro plot 5 episodes in?
Huh?
Still no macro plot 5 episodes in?
No macro plot at all. I really don't know what they're doing. They're like traveling to village doing random like hijinks, and it's just I don't know. Of the 3 fantasy shows, Hikari being one of them, this one is definitely my least favorite of them.
I don't know how to compare this to Hikari, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay. I think this is going to be an interesting one to check back in later. Like I said, I'm way less behind. I could see this kind of going down the generic train. Like it obviously has a bad score on Mal, but also it's early season and Mal is completely unreliable. But anyway, TBD. We'll go ahead and move on to High Card.
High Card, traditional shonen written by the guy who did Kakegurui, and like this feels very traditional, where like people get these powers from like one of the 52 cards, and like each card has its own unique power.
Quite a range too of powers.
And like the main character, he joins a squad of like people trying to recover the rest of the cards, and hijinks ensue. This show, it's just a traditional shonen. Like, I really wish more of the powers were more like the marble one that we saw in episode 1, because that was super unique. But then everything after that, it's been like pretty much like by the numbers powers.
We got a gun guy. We got the Kirby rock power. We got a guy who can't die. I think that's his bit.
Yeah, he eats food and heals or something.
I guess like the newest guy, like his thing is like the more money he has, the more he could summon things. I don't remember. But it's still fun. Like regardless of that complaint, like it's still like a really fun show, and like it's still like pretty. I'm still enjoying my time with it.
I think the action is usually pretty good. There's not a whole lot of plot to there's not a whole lot of meta plot here to go on. Like Chris is probably going to go off here in a minute about how similar this is to Kingsman.
I've been read like a poker card. Haha, I'm tying it all in.
High card, haha.
Yeah, I will say Tim pointed this out first, so it's not my full credit. But yeah, if you've seen the film Kingsman: The Secret Service, the structure of their secret society is like copied and pasted. It's like a young, poor, spunky kid gets recruited into a classy suit-wearing secret organization, and who has like a front as a shop in the city or whatever, but it's actually their secret base with all their tools and like you press a button and the panel flips around to all the guns. It's like, it's very similar. I will say, aside from just the setup of the organization, that's really where the similarities stop. I will. Oh yeah, well, go ahead.
I would say the tones are kind of the same too. Like both are very like extremely on the wacky side.
Yeah, kind of a jokey action thing.
Yeah, I'm not just like the powers in action, but also like the villains as well later on, all kind of like, you know, straight out of like a cartoon. Well, yeah, it was literally a cartoon, but like, you know,
yeah, silly and over the top.
Yeah.
I will echo some of Juan's disappointment. I was kind of wanting this show to be a little bit more based on the premiere. I don't know. It has issues trying to be serious and then like escalating its severity of like what's going on the screen. Like people get killed graphically and it always feels a little out of place. I don't know. This one, it's fun and I'm still down to keep watching it, but I don't know.
It's definitely trying to be somewhat serious. It's most apparent in the latest episode this week, but I think how well the show like comes out to be is how well it like juggles the two. Because that like darker kind of more serious tone does like keep coming back more and more often, which is kind of clashing with the overall vibe of the show. So either it finds a synergy or it's going to, you know, become a problem down the road.
My problem is that I think that it's not doing enough with its premise, but maybe that'll get fixed later on. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like they got 52 powers to choose from, so like,
yeah, I want a little bit more
creative ones
because the power system was the draw immediately in episode 1, and it doesn't really feel like it has been utilized very well so far. But oh well. Does Logan have any thoughts about this television anime?
I mean, not much more than what's been said. I'm a little disappointed by the it's just not wacky enough.
That's true.
It's not like to be.
You know,
I need pictures of Spider-Man.
Exactly.
In this show.
We gotta get sillier. Okay. Moving. I think we're good to move on.
Yeah.
Moving on. The next one is the Tenshi romance show.
I think only Tim's watched that.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Take it away, Tim.
Now this one is literally like Wish Fulfillment on steroids. Literally the whole premise is like these two people who like each other, but like haven't told each other like each other, slowly like spend time and fall in love more as time goes on. That being said, like the pairing is very cute. The character design is also, you know, very pretty. There's really like not much more I would want from the series. It does the like what it's set out to do really well, which is like the wish fulfillment part, and like, you know, I was based on, you know, the score and the popularity. It seems
this has an insanely high score, which is crazy to me.
Does it?
It's got a 791.
Whoa, that's wow.
But I don't know. It's so interesting to see what people's first reactions to shows are. Anyway,
like I played it down for you guys just because I know like none of you guys are into that kind of thing. But like as far as like this kind of trope, it like there's really not much to complain about. It's just
So if you're into
is it like
romance,
good though?
Romance high school shows,
is it like good?
It's good.
Okay.
It's like slow burn romance. Wish fulfillment guy who comes over to kiss the guy, and they like, you know, fall in love, and their friends come and find out and they like support him and stuff. Like I said, I think for me the character design was like very pretty, and that like what's got me initially hooked.
Gotcha.
So I guess again, if you're into this, then go for it. Not much else for us to say because we didn't watch it. Not really our cup of tea. Okay, next up, Logan.
All right, next up we have to talk about Hikari no O, and it's very difficult to talk about because I think the plot is mostly solid. It's like it's strong enough to keep me invested, but the animation, man.
Well, it's more
It
than
ju- it
that.
gets-
I don't know. This
that's
show
not
is
the only thing
inscrutable
about it,
in a
but-
lot of ways.
Yes.
Well, what's the
yes.
plot so far?
Okay. Interesting question.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think the strongest stuff is the girl in the like truck or whatever going to return the dog. Every time it cuts back to the mansion with the guy, it almost completely loses me. That part is like
Hey
too
man,
dense for
the mansion with the
me.
guy looks okay at least.
Only sometimes,
Yeah.
not when they show it in CG and then like zoom.
Yeah, that
in
one
on
shot
it,
is
and it's, like,
insane.
That one shot that they keep reusing that they're in love with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the plot with the girl on the train. I don't really like almost anything else that's going on in it.
I'm
And
kind
I
of
don't
getting
know-
tired. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm kind of getting tired
ahead.
of the girl is getting yelled at by adults. That just feels like how the whole show has been so far, and it's like kind of weirdly repetitive. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I like it more as just like a weird look into this very strange society.
Yeah.
Which
Is it futuristic? I can't remember.
what? It's kind of like sci-fantasy. It's set in the future, but a future that kind of got destroyed.
It's like dystopian kind
yeah.
of.
Because they had
It's
to
kinda-
adapt
It's
to
kind of
not
like a
using fire.
post-apocalypse. Yeah.
Post-apocalypse. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you can't tell, like I watched episode 1 of them, and I did not follow whatsoever.
Episode
Like,
1 is
Arsenal
dense.
Kyojuu was dense. This
yeah.
was like if episode 1 was like a novel, this is like Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows thick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could have
Yeah,
picked something
that's
with a
the thing.
higher reading comprehension, like War and Peace or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But like that was just the first one that came to mind. I'm like thick book.
Yeah, it's just and that's sad because episode 1 was easily the best. Like there is a
Yes.
truly
Yeah.
gargantuan drop off in quality
Yeah.
between episodes 1 and 2.
If you don't like episode
Did you guys
1,
watch
the
3
show
at
is
all?
not
We've
going
seen
to
3.
be.
yeah, we've
to
seen
it.
3.
Mm-hmm.
You saw
Yeah.
the dragon?
Yes.
Yeah. And it sucks because when I see animation like that, I get what it's going for, and I like the concept of what it's going for with the, the like flowy and lots of movement, but it looks so
It's just
bad.
incompetent. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
kind of pathetic.
It
And it's by
looks
that
like
one animator, right?
Yeah, so for context, this is the one that we talked about. So Mamoru Oshii is the one that's like writing the story for this.
Mhm.
And you get that, like you can pretty immediately get his influence in it.
Mhm.
Just in the way it's being told. It's very slow and deliberate and interesting, and I don't know, but
Mhm.
this one, I don't know about for Logan. This one's it's starting to lose me. There's enough each episode that I'm like, okay, well, I
Mhm.
guess I could watch more to see what's going on, but if it keeps being like as truly hideous as it is, like
Mhm.
I'm not kidding. It's not just the action. It's like everyone's off model. Nothing looks good. It's really clunky. It's missing frames. It's like all the classic.
If you haven't seen the GIF of the like intercontinental ballistic dog that from the second episode,
Yeah.
that absolutely terrible cut of the animation where the dog is like allegedly jumping at a monster.
Yeah.
I encourage you to
Allegedly.
seek that. I encourage you to seek that out. It looks like marginally better than what I could have done. It's just really ugly.
Yeah, this is I would say a kind of deeply disappointing case of wasted potential.
Agreed.
Like, I get the complaint about the animation quality consistency, and I do like agree that they're all like drops in quality, but at the same like time, like this is such like this kind of like show. Like, first of all, it's not like a very fast-paced action show, so like the drops quality doesn't bother me as much as it would like in another type of show. But also like the vibe and genre of this show is like extremely unique of like from anything else that's airing like now or like in the last year.
Yes, I agree, which is why I liked episode 1, but it is so poorly put together. It is a huge, like, you know what I mean? Like you can only craft a vibe so hard. If I think the vibe kind of falls apart if what you're looking at on screen doesn't work. And I don't know. We'll see. I don't think the writing has been incredible either so far or anything to like really make up for it. So I don't know.
The mansion part is kind of weird, but that's how to tie in the whole like macro world building kind of plot, because you can't really get that from just the girl, because she's.
I have no qualms with them doing the character
oblivious.
Like perspective swap. Honestly,
yeah,
it's
so like I agree that I think the story with the girl is much more interesting, but like the guy is where we're getting all the world building or like the politics and like progressing the macro is through him, and she's just like us. We're like just learning. We'll just like a child learning about the world through her, and she is the more interesting part for sure. At least for me as well.
Okay,
but I think if you like aren't gonna die from the animation quality drop, then it's worth keeping up. And like I kind of expected that, because this is like the studio is like it's Signal MD doing the animation, and they're like a very small studio who hasn't done like anything of note. I think the only notable thing is like Netju, but that's like that
was a while ago too.
Animation, yeah, it also wasn't very like animation heavy at all. So like I didn't really have high expectation of this studio to do like a masterpiece, but yeah.
All right. Okay. I think we're good to move on.
We are. Yeah.
Okay.
Next up
Daddies.
is a better show. Okay. So Buddy Daddies. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it up front. This is pretty easily, if we're not counting sequel shows, by far my favorite show of the season. Like not even close. It is on par with a lot of the good stuff that came out last year. I think it's just like when I come to look for anime for true, like a lot of these shows that we're watching this season, I'm like, all right, this is solid. Like I enjoy what it's doing or whatever. But there are very, very few. I would say like 2 or 3 in this entire season that I'm like, oh no, this one's gonna be like year endless material, good shit, and this one's up there. I will warn in advance, this is propaganda. This is having babies propaganda. Because Miri is very sweet, and these 2 dumbass idiots trying to figure out how to like take care of her is incredibly compelling. And then you're cheering for them and you want them to succeed because you want to protect her smile or whatever. But it's just an exceptionally well-made show. It's got a great sense of humor. The bit in one of the most recent episodes where the bartender guy that gives them their assassin jobs told her that the black-haired guy was an oil baron is like the funniest moment in anime in this year so far.
It still gets me.
I mean, we're pretty early in this year.
Yeah, but it is delightful. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I think it really handles some more mature and like dark themes pretty well, and integrates it well with all the silly wacky shit. And I think this show could get pretty dark. It's a little worrying actually, because I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to be sad, because it's nice right now. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Where are my buddies with feeling on Buddy Daddies?
Your Buddy Daddies?
Yeah.
Chris, since you're the Spy Family aficionado, and like this was getting like big, like, oh, this is just like Spy Family, but gay dads.
Yeah.
Do you think it?
Like, no, they're completely different. I have no idea why people are comparing them. They're like literally not comparable.
I mean, just like premise wise, they're like,
the premise is completely different too. I get that it is 2 action oriented job parents and small child, but Miri and Anya could not be further apart in character wise. So
like Anya's cute, but like Miran is somehow just way fucking cuter.
Anya's older and like a little smarter, and she's got the mind reading thing going on, and is very much a comic relief character. And Miri is, I think, feels much more like an actual toddler, like a younger, because she is younger. She's
canonically 4.
So yeah, I get the comparison, but they are not at all similar. They're both good though. Just watch both.
Yeah. they are very different, but at the same time, like if I had to make a comparison, what's closest to this, I think Spy found be the first thing that comes to mind. So like, I get why I'm making the comparison, but it is two very very different shows, two very different vibes. That being said, like one of the things that I really liked about the show is the Mirin, the fact that she actually like. This is the first time I actually felt like we've had a kid who actually like felt like an actual kid.
Agreed.
Who acted like a kid, who felt like a kid. Like Anya didn't feel like that at all. We had I don't know what other kid shows you've watched lately, but we had the Mafia show that also she wasn't really acting like a kid, and then we had Kotonari, who didn't act a kid at all. Like we've had lots of kids the last couple of like seasons, and none of them has acted a kid, unlike her. And that's really like bringing a smile, just seeing her like just be earnest and be like very kid like.
The writers clearly have children. It's like it's obvious that their real parents actually worked on this show because there's too much highly specific parenting details that I think young parents could point at the screen and be like, they just like me for real right now. So if we have any I was gonna say if we have any parents in our audience.
Yeah. If you're a parent, comment on this video, say like, hey, Mirin is just like my child.
Then I feel like you'll find it
Mirin
relatable.
inspired me to make a child with my partner.
Oh god.
But yeah, Mirin is easily like the best part of the show. Like she is adorable. Like I think it was episode 4 where like she's like going to school for the first time, and like she couldn't like make friends because of her clothes.
Top 5 saddest anime moments.
100%. Like I was like a step away from crying, just straight up, because like characters not being able to make friends is like a huge weakness of mine. Like it's just so unbelievably sad. And, like there's like nothing that they could do about it. But I'm glad they figured it out and like that got resolved. Like if it kept going like a minute longer, I would have started crying. I love Mirin. She will single-handedly raise the birth rate of the entire world.
Okay, well I don't know about that. Any thoughts, Logan?
So the thing I like most about Buddy Daddies, the thing that I was really not convinced of its ability to do, like going into it, this is the thing that I assumed that it was not going to be good at, is the fact that they are actually really good at balancing the like really, really tragic moments with the really, really sweet and saccharine moments. Like the scene in the bar with Miri's mom.
Yeah, it was
when they go and find her. That was brutal. And it never really felt out of line in the way that, I don't know, the scene where it cuts from like all the jokey stuff to a bunch of dead bodies and high card. That just kind of feels jarring. But that scene, it never really did. And they go into a lot of other, vaguely brutal moments. I think that it comes together really well in a way I wasn't expecting it to. And I want to go on the record in saying that I hope it gets sad because the show is good at being sad.
I do also hope it gets sad. I want to be a crying mess at the end of the show.
I think the show's going to get dark at some point for sure because we had that one other like assassin.
Oh yeah, he's brooding.
Hitman dude.
Yeah.
That made an appearance for like 30 seconds and he hasn't come back and I'm sure he's going to make an appearance and stir trouble up again.
Cause problems.
I think I was gonna say one of my favorite aspects of this show is how quickly both dads warmed up to her. Like, because the blonde guy, since he's the one sort of spearheading the whole adoption thing, Kazuki, ends up falling for her much more quickly. But I was thinking it was gonna take Ray a long time, and it took him like one episode, and then he was like all the way.
It was a little forced.
No, I don't agree at all. I think it was very sweet. I think he connected.
Oh no, it 100%.
I think he connected over daddy issues and like how he got abandoned as a child. It works really well. I love Ray. Ray's a great character. Anyway,
Ray's the best.
We like this one. If that wasn't clear, so definitely.
Real quick, I want to make my prediction for the ending. It's gonna be a happy ending, and it's gonna like cut to them like Mirin being graduating from high school or something.
Maybe.
And like she's smiling with her dads, and that's gonna make me cry.
Imagine.
I doubt it.
I also don't know.
That's what
I
I
don't
want.
see this one doing a time skip because that would make no season 2 possible, and I think this could go multiple seasons. Anyway,
I don't think it's going to put seasons, but I also don't think it's.
If they're brave, they'll do it.
all right, we have 3 different predictions. Okay, next up. Oh God, what a drop off in quality! I'm so glad that I get to do this podcast.
Yeah, all right, we're gonna go kind of fast on this one. Inukai-san's dog, because I refuse to say that long ass Japanese name. Man, what?
5.
What an ecchi show! Jesus Christ!
You remember when I talked about earlier about Akashi Triangle being like a show that's like ecchi but having more to it? This show is just
nothing.
ecchi and nothing but ecchi.
I mean, I think that was how it was advertised, so I'm not surprised.
This is the state of ecchi shows these days. It's like, here's a bunch of ecchi, enjoy. And there's really not much else.
Yeah, I mean, like, the guy is a dog, and the girl is insane. She is clinically insane and, like, wants to, like, fuck this dog.
Great.
It's so bad. But also, I want to be that dog.
Well, there you go. You figured it out. The whole point of the show.
Yeah.
You've boiled down horny anime to its bare essentials.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that, Tim?
The girl's a little psychotic. I don't know how I feel about her.
I cannot stress enough how insane this girl is. Like, she's like yandere. Like, her mom is like in episode 1, which, by the way, super hot. She's like, oh wow, you got a dog, and like immediately she's just like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to.
Oh, those eyes.
Yeah.
The red eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this girl's insane.
Hey, sometimes you just really like your dog, I guess. Anyway.
White girls fuck dogs.
Well, she's not white. I was gonna make that joke, but then I was like, she's not white, so I can't. All right. Keeping on that train.
Yeah, might as well just go with the other one.
How is Onimai going, Tim?
So Onimai, there's definitely questionable scenes in there. But if you can get past the questionable scene, then there's a lot of like actual heart behind it and good animation. And
that is what I have heard. Yes.
It's actually a really endearing show. You just need to get over the weird premise that the little girl is a guy.
Yeah,
and they kind of got rid of that. The show would have been totally fine.
Well, I mean, you kind of like need that premise because like that's what like some of the wholesomeness comes from.
Yeah, you could totally have this premise and turn down the like horny shit, and you'd probably get a pretty cute show.
It's actually not that horny, surprisingly.
It is. It's like it really isn't that horny. It's just like always like 1 or 2 questionable like scenes in the show, but like that's like 1 minute, and then the other like 19 minutes are like totally normal, fine, like
that's an anime moment if I've ever heard one.
Too.
Yeah, like me personally, like I watched the first 3 episodes. Episode 1, it was actually kind of fun. Like, you know, ignoring the premise.
Episode 1 was the most like horny. I don't know.
I don't
how
know.
You like.
I had fun with it, but episode 2, like it had this like really wholesome moment of like the brother like reminiscing about like, I used me and my sister used to be like really close, and like, you know, we actually treat each other like siblings. It was nice. Like, I want to go back to that. And I'm like, oh, that's very sweet. And then episode 3, it was just like nothing but ecchi. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever.
I told
the
you.
show. The show goes more and more into the endearing, less and less on the ecchi as we go on. Like, if you're worried about the ecchi, I think you should give it another like episode 2 because it really goes away. But Mark and I have been having a fun time watching every week and talking about it.
I just want to highlight under the themes category on Mal. So the first one is cute girls doing cute things, and the second one is magical sex shift, which is a wild way to describe gender bender.
Just say gender.
But I mean, I guess it's not. I guess it's not wrong. I guess that is what happens.
Yeah.
That's what taking HRT does to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So, I have no thoughts on this one. I think I said all of them on the original episode. I have heard a lot of what Tim is echoing, that like they are animating it out the ass for some reason.
Oh yeah, that's it. The production value in this show is insanely good.
So I mean, if you're into that kind of comedy, I'm sure it's, I don't know. I'm gonna reserve some of my harsher words I said last time since I don't think it matters, and it's like Tim said, it's one off. I just wish they didn't, because it sounds like it could be fixed. It could be saved. Oh well. All right. Logan's gonna talk about a completely different show now.
So Mononogatari is the like spirit detective action show. I said in the pre-read that I didn't think that this was necessarily great. It was just kind of enough to get an episode out of me. And the anime didn't really do anything to earn the second episode, if you're asking me. It's the animation isn't stellar. The color palette is kind of weird and muted and dry. I feel like they really killed the pacing of the first chapter of the manga by just dragging it out for the whole episode. Like, especially that bit at the beginning where the grandpa, I think it is, where his grandpa is exercising that one demon very calmly, and then he just chooses violence immediately afterwards. That was way shorter in the manga. That was a very quick bit that they did. And in the anime, that dragged on for minutes, and it feels like it's just been dragging on, and I wasn't super hot on it even from the manga. If I really wanted to continue with this, I would just probably continue with the manga. I don't know. I don't think this is a great adaptation. I don't think this is great source material in the first place. So,
coming in with fresh eyes, I was like bored to tears by this episode. It was just a bunch of nothing, man. I liked the premise. It sounded interesting. I like some of the character designs and the monster designs. But like, yeah, the pacing wasn't great, and it really isn't doing anything at all to stand out from like other shows in its genre and shonens and stuff. The main character is in particular incredibly bland. Just literal shonen protagonist .jpg. I think the girl that showed up at the very end of the episode has the potential to be interesting, but she showed up at the very end of the episode, so I don't get to find out. And yeah, I just cannot see a reason. They do the thing where the guy's fighting, and it's like, yes, he's doing this. Whoa, I can see his potential. Where they sidebar. It's like a bunch of shonen tropes stacked on top of each other. I don't care. Big skip mode. I don't know if Tim is even watching this one.
I'm watching it. They did some cool stuff with the backgrounds in the first episode. I remember that stuck out to me.
Yes. If I could highlight it, I liked that too. The backgrounds are really neat.
But yeah, the show kind of falls into the mediocre category to me. It's just now getting a bit interesting because now we're finding there's like more towards like the original premise of like the guy has anger issues. We find more about like the yokai society and the balance, and there's like this mystery behind the girl that you meet at the very end. So it gets a little bit more interesting, but right now it's still kind of in the like, like it's not great, but it's not awful either for me.
All right. There we go. Not great, not awful. Yeah, I don't know. So next up is Revenger, which I'm doing. This is gonna be tough because I've seen exactly one episode of this one, and I haven't watched more. And then all my friends dropped it. I might keep watching it. This I think is a pretty decent premise. I thought it had a lot of. It's a samurai show, but it's a little bit of a later era samurai show. So towards the Meiji Restoration era, with where Japan is starting to modernize. The premise is essentially that the main character, gets mixed up and ends up killing his fiance's dad. I think because someone tricked him.
Do we need the synopsis recap?
I'm just gonna try to go into to why he is going. Which I thought the scene where how that was handled at the beginning was cool, and then he ends up meeting this group of people, and I'm having trouble remembering how that episode played out. One of them has a tattoo of the Virgin Mary on the back, which is kind of cool.
that was kind of cool.
And he chokes people with like wires and shit. Very interesting.
No,
the other guy does.
The other guy does.
Okay. But they all have like a unique fighting style.
Virgin Mary guy is the guy who like covered a dude's
with
face
the gold.
With the gold.
Okay, that was not the same guy. But yeah, they kill people. It's pretty brutal. I don't know. I think that this could be cool. I would like to watch another episode or two to get my a more proper opinion. But I was like solid.
I don't know, man. This was solid. Just like a kind of like generic seasonal edgy show. It was just like super gory, and I'm like, whatever.
I just don't think you've watched that much samurai stuff. I don't think this is that gory.
Well, I mean, I seen Samurai Champloo, and like that's
a very unique show. But anyway, I didn't think it really crossed the line. Like, I have a very low tolerance for anime edge because I'm not a Chunibyo 14-year-old. But this didn't really cross that line for me. I just thought it was like, violent because it's a samurai show where they kill people with swords. I don't know. Did Tim or Logan have thoughts on this one? I know Juan didn't like it.
I very much did not like this show.
I'm gonna say pretty much the only reason I'm dropping the show is because Juan dropped it and because Chris and I don't watch shows together. I know how that goes. If we're going to succeed one time in our entire lives, and it's going to be with Mou Ippon, and it's not going to. I like Mou Ippon more than I like this.
Yeah, Mou Ippon's better.
Like this show. I did like this show well enough. It's not like I'm dying to see episode 2 or anything.
Yeah.
But I was definitely interested. I think the action was really solid, and I am an edgy 14-year-old Chunibyo, so I didn't mind the edge at all.
I mean, like, I like edge every once in a while, but like this edge didn't appeal to me.
Because like it's not trying to be wacky. Like the edge that tends to bother me is when they're like, look at us, we're killing people. Isn't that crazy and dark? And that's just not what's happening here. They're just killing people normally.
They treat the killing very sincerely.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Tim, do you have any thoughts? You've watched way more of this, I'm sure. Is this interesting?
I kind of expected more from something by Urobuchi.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh, that's right. It's Urobuchi that wrote this. God damn it! Why?
But it's like the first episode was cool. It's like the whole premise is cool, with like the whole like samurai setting with this era and the revenge thing. But like moving onwards from like next couple episodes, it's more like less a repeat of like the same thing. Like, they find someone to kill,
political assassinations over and over.
And we're not really like having any much development on any of the characters or like anything else in the show. Like, we get like very minor like backstory to some of the characters, but it's not like contributing much to their growth at all. So it's a bit of a disappointment, especially from him. So I don't think it's edgy. I just don't really think the show is going anywhere.
Wonderful.
But it's it's a cool
yeah,
cool
if you like
period.
samurai, then it's a perfectly good option for that if you're into that kind of genre. This is such a common trend for shows this season, and it really does continue for all the shows. Most of them are like, yeah, it's all right. But you're not as compelled to watch it.
Yeah. That does seem to be
I think that's valid.
From all the heat from fall 2022, we got to slow down, I guess.
Okay, moving on.
Oh, but speaking of heat, though,
shut up.
I think this show's pretty underrated. All right.
I thought you were gonna make an ice pun, so never mind. You're forgiven.
All right. Koori, Zokusei, Danshi, blah blah blah. This is the Yuki Onna guy office romance show. This show, I'd say, is very underrated. Like, sure, that first episode, like, it just kept doing like the same like punchline over and over again. But like episodes 2 and 3 kind of let go of that. Not entirely. It still happens every once in a while. But it's not the whole show. Like, the show develops the relationship between the two main characters very well. I like their dynamic a lot. Like, when you first meet the Yuki Onna guy, like, you expect him to be like, like cool and distant. But he's actually just like a big dork. And I love him for that. And then like the girl is like very stoic, not to the level of like Kudere, but like she definitely shows emotion here and there, and she loves her cat. So Logan, if you want a girl, there you go.
I'm not muscling through episode 1 of this show for a cat.
You couldn't make it. There's no
There's
cat.
a lot of cats in this show.
There's a lot of cat.
It's one of the main reasons to watch it, actually.
I mean,
she's very cute.
I really like the romance shown here so far. I want more people to watch this.
The romance very cute. Like I love the dynamics between the main two couple and the very cute and wholesome. But like it's not going anywhere. And I thought the whole point of having like adult relationship couple thing was for them to like progress or get somewhere or not act like the normal high school romance.
I mean, like you can like kind of tell
hold hand,
that these two are not very experienced.
Yeah, but we gotta go somewhere, man. Like Otakoi did a good job of like jumping straight into like the relationship from the get go. Like
normal. Well, yeah, but that's because like
I think
the couple were
if
like
we're gonna
friends.
If we're gonna compare to a show as far as progression goes, My Senpai is Annoying is a great one to compare to this because it has a pretty slow progression too. Like they are not together by the end of the show, but like it still handles it well from scene to scene.
No, but you get good progression. At least not with this is the side couple. You got like really good.
Yeah, that's true.
Progression. So that's kind of offsets it. Well, this one like also for this one the side couple kind of like. I want to like the Fox girl more.
I actually don't like the Fox girl that much either.
I'm not really feeling her. So like the side couple is not really great, and the main couple is like it's cute, and I like the dynamics, but they're not going anywhere. And I want them to go somewhere.
There's another side couple.
That's my main gripe.
The Phoenix and the glasses girl. I actually like their dynamic too.
That was kind of cute, but we don't see them enough.
I mean, yeah, they were just introduced.
They showed up twice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught up or not.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No, I'm not sure if you caught up or not. But like they had no introduction and they had one scene and then that was it. But they better go somewhere within the next couple episodes. Otherwise, I'm gonna start having problems.
I'll just go ahead and drop my take right now because I watched episode 1 of this. And there's a reason that I didn't continue with it. All of what y'all said might be true, but dude, this show is slow. It's like the pacing was pretty poor, and it's not like in a deliberate way. I made that joke last time. It's just like I know you countered me at the beginning. You're like, "Oh, I don't think it's that," or mind that it's repetitive. But the episode 1 was incredibly repetitive to the point that it like kind of completely turned me off. I like the girl. I think she's interesting. As a dynamic, but God, I just want something to happen. I want something with stakes or anything. I cannot sit through a season worth of them just showing up at the office and having like these little small talk interactions and things not, and especially with Tim saying things don't develop.
Well, I mean, like
at all.
I think by episode 3 they're like on an actual date, so like having a dinner date.
Is it the same way that in other romances where they're just going to dinner together and it's not a romantic date and neither of them acknowledge it as that?
No, at the end of it they acknowledged it was
pretty
a romantic
much.
Date.
I don't know. I'm gonna hold this one.
As far as romance goes, we could Chris is the slowest one. Like even Kubo-chan goes faster than that, or the Tenshi one goes faster. Like all the other romance shows we've talked about so far, I've made like
this isn't
3 times more progression.
I'm not talking about romantic progression. I'm talking about the pace of the action and the scenes in the television show. I don't think the show is particularly funny. I don't think it's trying to be. So you have to have something that is the reason that you're watching it and like what is compelling about it to me. And it's just not. It doesn't have much.
I mean, like for me, what compels me to watch it is the dynamic between the two main characters.
Yeah, but if you can just watch a show to enjoy. Like,
I know what I'm saying. I know, but I'm saying that I think that it is going. The pacing is too slow to have. I don't know. It's boring to me. It's just boring.
I get that. I mean, that's why I'm not really enjoying Ars no Kyojuu or Hikari no O because like that's way too slow for me. But like I think like a slow romance, like I'm able to chew better.
I've seen plenty of other slow romances that are way more interesting because they're presenting more story elements and having more shit going on. I don't know. I want to I like comparing it to My Senpai is Annoying because I think that is like such a good example of how to do an office like rom-com correctly.
But no, I think
know.
but that one's
more rom-com,
offsets
though,
the slow burn with the comedy. Like it's a lot more comedy than
yeah, and
romance.
so
Like,
if this show
romance,
had
though.
more comedy, then that would be great. I don't know, man. And if you're gonna do a proper romance, then I think there need to be more stakes. I don't know. Anyway, that's my complaint about. That's why I dropped it. I just didn't want to see the same joke play out 8,000 times.
I think if you like a slow romance, I think you should give this show a shot.
Hardly the most offensive show of this season.
Yeah,
there are much worse. All right. Changing pace back to high school. Logan.
Mm-hmm. All right, Judo Girls. So I watched up to episode 3 of this, and I wanted to make sure that I watched up to episode 3 because I wanted to be absolutely sure that we were going to be judoing in episode 4, and we are. That's the good news. But I what's it called? I think the strongest point for this for me is the like animation of the judo match in episode 1, because episodes 2 and 3 are slower and more like slice of life club showy. But I think I can tell that they are actually going to pull out the stops when they start doing like the real judo matches in the tournament that's coming up. And that's the part that appeals the most to me. I think that the characters are kind of stock, but perfectly solid kind of stock. You know, it's not like it's bad. And I think the comedy is solid, but the big draw for me for this is that like I can tell that they really want to animate these judo fights well, and I'm looking forward to that.
I am gonna go in a different direction and say that I think the best part about the show so far. I do agree with all the judo stuff, and I'm excited to see it because clearly the team cares about the sport and it's going to get technical. I actually really like the character writing and dynamics. I think that this is a pretty immediately likable, fun cast of characters that bounce off each other really well. And also, I like the way that they're written as like young middle school aged girls. They feel like real people. In a way that anime completely fails to do most of the time, I think. So that's really nice. I think that they're really well rounded. There's some interesting nuance there, and so I'm more interested, like immediately, to watch them. You know, because it makes them easier to cheer for because they're like real. A lot, kind of like in the same way that this is not even remotely the same kind of anime, but like Maidens in Your Savage Season, how that show had a pretty good handle of like writing young girls the like way young girls actually are in real life. It feels kind of like that. So props to that, but I'm also excited for it to become like a sports anime and watch the girls wrestle. I don't know how's Tim feeling about this one?
Yeah, like I think I mentioned in the last episode, like the fight animation was like the main standout point for the first episode, and if that's what you're like in for, I don't know if you should stick with it because I feel like the fights are going to be very like few and in between. So I think the main step point is what Chris says, like the characters, and the show does a really good job developing them and building them out, giving a great relationship dynamic between them. And I had I mean it's been like one girl like every episode so far, so eventually they're going to like do something else, but I think that's been the best part of the show so far, has been them building out all the cast.
Still, I think it'll be a good mix of both. This was a big surprise of the season. I actually think that this one is like quite good. So I'm happy about that. Nice to have a good
I'm gonna be
show.
interested to see if Logan, the infamous anti-slice of life person, sticks with it, because it does give a lot of slice of life vibes.
Yeah, club show. Maybe this is actually the secret sleeper agent that we can get him to watch more club shows.
Maybe that's Logan actually likes slice of life.
I think he does. It just has to hit his buttons in a certain way. I still think he would like it.
Oh, it just has to be a really, really good show for me to like it. Yeah, duh, obviously.
Wow.
I don't think I would call Mou Ippon a really, 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 really good show.
We'll see. Remains to be seen. Tune in next time. Speaking of, never mind. I'm not even going to make that joke. Because I'm pretty sure this show's dog shit. Spy Classroom, Tim, tell us about it.
I thought you were about to say Spy X Family. I'm like, that was last season.
So I wanted, I remember being like disappointed with the show at first because I wanted like I don't know, Liquid Recoil kind of show thing, and this one was like anything but it. But like, then I realized like the show's just it's great. You just gotta like treat it. It's reached a point where like the show is so bad and dumb that it's actually like fun to watch. It is stupid on a lot of levels, and it does a lot of dumb things. But if you don't take it too seriously, it's actually just a really entertaining thing. They did this gag where like they're sort of spies and they like trick the enemy by like, because there's supposed to be like 7 of them, but in actuality there was 8. But we, the audience, didn't even know it was an 8th person in the show until the reveal, and then going back to the show, you realize that the 8th person has actually been like in all the shots in the last 3 episodes. We just didn't know or notice. It was just kind of like, it just does this like, think it does this like 10, I think it's doing like 10,000 IQ things, but it's actually just dumb. But it's just fun. And they do a bunch of stupid gags where like the guy catches a bunch of bricks that's falling in the skies and like builds them up in the pyramid stuff. It's just lots of dumb fun. And they have like, the best thing, it's become kind of a meme actually in the anime community, and I think I kind of agree with it. It's just not what I expected, but it's been fun. The girl has like its Morbin time phrase as well that we always make fun of when we watch the show.
All right. Yeah, I guess if you're looking for dumb fun, or it's a good group watch show or something. I don't know. None of the rest of us are watching this. So, yeah. Okay, we're moving on to Tondemo Skill Isekai.
All right, Tondemo Skill. This is actually like a pretty competent isekai show. Like the guy gets isekai'd. He's like a 27-year-old salaryman, and like the first thing he does, like he realizes that his power is he can order stuff on Amazon, and like he can show up like right in front of him. And like the first thing he does is like all right, how can I make money off of this? And like he's off like doing his own thing, and like he's not like adventuring per se, but like he's trying to like make money, you know, and trying to survive in this world. And like this would be a good isekai if I wasn't so goddamn tired of isekai.
Yeah, that's about exactly how I feel about this too. I think this show is actually pretty good, like straight up. Like I think that this does a good job of executing on its premise. I think the main character is far and away one of my favorite main characters in any isekai ever. He is intelligent and not a child, like not a dumb teenager. Who he is, like he assesses his situation and he's like, okay, clearly I need to get the fuck out of this country because these nobles that summoned me or whatever are going to abuse me. Also, he knows like I'm not gonna let on that I'm from a different world and that I have access to the superpower or whatever. He makes a lot of very rational choices, which I feel like is not something you see in these kinds of shows all the time. So that was nice. Also, anime food be looking like that for real, etc., etc. That's the highlight of watching this show. Obviously, if you're gonna be into watching him craft these really good looking meals, like I said, there's nothing wrong with this show. I am just incredibly burnt out of this genre, and I don't know. I wasn't compelled to keep watching. I thought the dog god was a little annoying actually, and I wasn't super into the idea of him having to like cook a bunch of meals for the dog every episode. I wasn't sure how that was gonna progress, but yeah, if you're into isekai, I actually would recommend you watch this because I think it's pretty solid.
All right, but let's hear from the isekai man himself,
Logan.
This yes, Logan.
Anyway.
This is an anime with characters.
That's right.
All right, Tim.
This is really like nothing new in isekai. Like this is nothing revolutionary. Like everything Chris was like complimenting on, other isekais have done the exact same thing.
Sure, I'm not saying it's original.
The tropes and
I'm just saying like
it's just the the main step one for the show is like one, it's like food and everybody loves like anime food, and two, it's like it's Mappa, so like the anime production quality is like higher than average. But like as far as it follows the same kind of like isekai like tropes and like beats, and it's kind of that like all of these guys does. So I don't think it's revolutionizing or like renewing, changing the face of isekai. But
No.
like it's just a normal like isekai that's just animated above average and has lots of cool food.
I really think that I would get super tired super quickly of. I think it would be repetitive of him just making food and people being like, "Oh my god, this is so good," and I feel like that's just going to be the whole show, which is another reason why I dropped it.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
The whole
Awesome.
more or less.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. It's one of the better isekai shows this season of the like 80 of them. I'm sure y'all have noticed that we have not really included any of the others on the list.
Yeah, this is kind of like our only isekai show that we're
technically technically the show we are literally about to start talking about is an isekai, even though it doesn't feel like it. Speaking of, Tensei Ojo, or the Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady.
There you go.
Honestly, don't even sweat it about the isekai part. It doesn't matter. It's not really brought up right now. Hey, folks.
This is like a fantasy show first.
I get baited sometimes. I get baited about the girls and whether or not they're gonna like kiss and stuff and be in a romantic relationship. I think this one's doing it for real. Like, and I'm the other two can vouch on that one too. This one, it's incredibly gay. But aside from that,
I mean, it literally has the tag.
Yeah, it does. But hey,
unlike,
shows have had
like Licorice.
Shows have had the tag and don't commit.
Yeah.
Either way, this is like Juan said, just a really competent fantasy show with fun characters. Like the whole setup, there's a lot of political intrigue going on in the background as to the circumstances of why the genius young lady, who's the one with the white hair, why her marriage didn't work out and why the older brother rejected her or whatever. So there's that going for it. It's got some cool fantasy world building with the magic technology that's going on. I will say the start of it has been a little bit slow as she's sort of getting accustomed to living in the castle with everyone. We get a lot of like the different character dynamics, but none of it's been like bad so far. And they're about to go fight a cool dragon, so that's neat. But no, this one's like, it's like real good. I like the character interactions. It's a little light novel-y, like just I depending on your tolerance for light novel writing, like exposition heavy, like conversation dialogue heavy light novel writing. But if you can get over that, then I think there's a lot to like about this one. I like all the characters, especially the main two. I think they have a nice dynamic.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised with this show. Like, I was really expecting like just kind of like isekai trash, but like because it puts the fantasy first, like it makes this like a much better show. Like the only way it's an isekai is that the main girl just happens to be isekai'd. You know, like she was like from the human world, and she died and was reborn here. And like that's it. That's all we know. That's all.
It was like this thing where she was a baby, so it literally doesn't matter. Because she grew up as the princess, so I don't know.
And that's all we need. Like that. I mean, like I'm sure we'll get more of it soon. Like, do we know that she was like just a baby in the human world?
No.
What do you mean, just a baby? She was a full grown.
No, she was. We don't know anything about her previous life right now.
Yeah. Okay. So like I'm sure we're gonna learn more about it later on, and like I'm sure maybe she was like a guy in the previous world.
I also don't think that is going to be the case. One has that theory that she was a guy, but that has not been indicated in any way.
She was a girl.
Yeah, I don't think that makes any sense.
I mean, that's totally fine. I mean, like either or. I hope it doesn't diminish the gay. You know, I hope it stays gay.
It's a weird pivot, but yeah, I think it will. So yeah, if you're into Yuri, I think I can heartily recommend this one in like a serious way. Without the constant disappointment, because there's already been a ton of romantic development in like the 3 or 4 episodes we've seen. So
yeah, they developed a lot. I'm like, damn, like I don't get baited, but like I'm feeling kind of baited right now. I'm like, shit. I think they might do it.
I was expecting the gray-haired girl to like take a lot longer to warm up to the idea of like liking her romantically, but then she,
I mean, like she warmed up to it and. Just now, like episode 4.
Yeah, episode 2 or 3 or whatever. Yeah. So, I like this one a lot. This is one of my favorite shows this season.
It's nice.
I don't know.
I enjoy watching it with my dinner with you. Chris.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, me and Juan watched this one after we make dinner, and we watched it with our other roommate Jamie, who's also having a good time with it.
Dinner date.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then we make out.
Yeah, exactly. How are you? Just like the girls.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you liking this, Tim?
I look at it a lot. Like I sang a lot of praises for it during the pre-watch. I still stand by most of what I said. Like the silver hair girls coming along nicely, but I still think the main blonde girls really carry a lot of the show. But like I'm sure once the girl like warms up, she'll catch up. And the animation there's been like really like sparks of like really great animation throughout the show. It's been a fun delight. The year is coming along nicely. Like the last time Chris watched a year was maybe like Adachi 3 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know that the last, and Adachi didn't even like, it's technically a real Yuri, but they didn't do shit in that show. I can't even think of.
They haven't done much in the show either.
Yeah, and I don't know how much progression is going to be, but like, yeah, there aren't many where. I mean, I don't want to get into the nuances of whether or not I got baited in XYZ show, because there's like Dragon Maid and there's like Machikado, but anyway,
yeah, but like if the fact that there's like the actual tag in it and this one gives me like a high expectation that the romance will
actually develop
pretty far.
Yeah. So
I think the maid's kind of gay for it too, but we'll see.
I hope the dads are gay.
Dude, the dads feel a little gay. I ain't seen no moms. That's all I'm saying. And they're
maid
like
gets a little bit of action too.
They're besties. Which one?
The maid.
Oh hell yeah, I like her. She's great. Great character. Okay. With that, we will move on to another hit television anime from this season that I think a lot of people are watching.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably like, I wouldn't say the most watched show, but like it definitely had like a lot of hype.
It's one of the most watched non-sequel shows this season.
Awesome.
Yes.
Right. Tomo-chan wa Ononoko. I don't know what the English name is, but
Tomo-chan is a girl.
Cool. It's the tomboy show where the tomboy really wants to date her guy best friend, but like he denies her advances. Like kind of like treats her like more of a guy than a girl, and like sure. It sounds really trashy, and it is really trashy. But goddamn it, sometimes you just want trashy. Like, like you're up at 3 a.m. and you're like, damn, I could really eat something. And you're like, fuck, Jack in the Box sounds great right now. That's what Tomo-chan is.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, not sorry in advance to Logan, and just like Jack in the Box, it sucks ass. So
I cannot believe this. I cannot.
I'm sorry. You don't
Jack
have to
in the Box
take
is so much better than this anime.
Anyway, I don't think it's trashy. That's my thing.
Explanation sounds more like Spy Classroom than this show one.
Yeah, this show isn't trashy. It's not like trying to be horny. It's not doing anything.
It's not really like horny either. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
So you mean trashy in that it's bad?
Not bad, but like very tropey.
Okay,
extremely
so poorly
tropey.
Written. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't say it's tropey.
I don't know.
Everyone fits a trope so far, but like I'm enjoying it. Like I enjoy the character dynamics.
I want to let Tim talk about this before I go, and I'm still gauging how mean I want to be to this, but we'll get there.
Kill it.
No, you can go ahead, Chris.
I don't like this show at all. I read the manga like years ago. I read the first couple of chapters, and just because I saw a lot of people really were into it and was trying to see like what the deal was, and was like deeply disappointed by it. Then, and I was like, oh, maybe the anime will do a better job, and then it just completely failed to in all ways. I deeply despise this type of show, and specifically this one, because I don't know, it's just the premise sucks so much. It's so bad. It's like I don't know, like what are we doing here, guys? The main guy, the crush character, is inscrutable. I think he is written in such a way because the behavior and the actions that he has to take for the plot to work are, I would say, nonsensical, bordering on absurd, and I'm not sure how much of that's on purpose, but it's like weird and contradictory and kind of shitty and mean too. He comes off as a real piece of shit, honestly. And I'm not sure
The main guy?
Yeah. And I don't know how much that like carries over, but it's just, and Tomo herself, I don't find to be, I get that she's literally the draw of the show, but I don't really like her. I don't like the dynamic. I don't think this show is good at all.
Mean piece of shit, how?
Who, the June, the friend?
Yeah.
Just in the way the way that he treats her. Yeah. And like, it's like I don't get it. The core joke that the whole anime is trying to revolve around doesn't make any sense at all in the context, because he's like, I think the point is that he's like repressing his feelings on purpose, but even then some of the things that happen don't follow that logic. Like, he doesn't behave like he's repressing it. He behaves like it's a genuine surprise every single time that she has boobs or whatever. I don't know. It's stupid. It's stupid and derivative of other better shows, and none of the other characters are interesting. Yeah. Hot tomboy, not enough to salvage such a thing. I was pretty sure
honestly,
I wasn't gonna like
Tomo-chan herself isn't like the draw for me. I think it's like literally everyone else.
Yeah, I agree with Juan. Like, Tomo-chan is like, the main characters are pretty like one-dimensional right now. They don't add much. For me right now, it's like Misuzu and Kiro. I was like mainly like throwing in like a wrench and spicing things up constantly.
Misuzu being the
main
the goth girl, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
The long black hair girl.
Yeah.
And then Kiro, the best friend.
I like her a lot.
Like, them two constantly like being entered through the mix and spicing things up has been like what's keeping the show very entertaining.
Yeah.
Because like Tomo is just the same like one trope that like she's masculine and she likes the guy, but he doesn't know how to say it. But like, that alone just gets kind of repetitive.
That's the other thing too.
She becomes better.
I could just tell that was going to be beaten into the dirt. It kind of already was by the end of episode 1. So I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, I haven't read the source, but maybe they like grow. Like, already you see like slight dynamic changes between the main two.
Oh yeah, well,
mainly with June, but like Tomo herself has been kind of the same more or less, and hopefully that changes.
The one like dynamic change that I like was the what's her name, the long black hair girl and June were revealed to be exes, and like that's why they hate each other. Yeah. Like, I like that a lot.
The backstory was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically like I said, like them, like the best friend and Kiro coming in has been the selling point for the show. They keep things very dynamic and fun.
Carol, like, I understand why she's popular. She's not really doing as much for me, because like I feel like she's just like Carol, the foreign girl.
She didn't really grow on me until like episode 3, but
I mean, episode 2 she came out like malicious.
Yeah, but after like that you know, they clear up the misunderstanding, she like did a complete 180.
Yeah, and I prefer her 180. But like, she just feels like
she
Chika
like 180
from Kaguya, but like less.
I don't know if I would call her Chika, because Chika is like chaos incarnate.
Yes,
Kira is not chaos.
She's not chaos, but she is like ditzy in the same way that
Chika's not actually ditzy. Fake fan, hasn't read the manga. Anyway, I don't know how much else there is to say about this one. It might just be a difference in taste, but I genuinely think that there are shows in this genre. Like, I'll be honest, if you like this kind of show, just go watch Komi. It's way better. And I don't even like Komi that much, but I don't know.
I don't know if Komi is a great comparison.
I think they're a pretty similar type of like big cast ensemble rom-com slow burn thing. I don't know.
I would pick this over Komi.
Are you serious?
Actually. You forget how much I despise the cast in that show.
I think most of Komi, the side characters are pretty good, except for the one girl who we all hate.
Yeah.
No, that's the dog character too.
She never shows up. She has like 2 episodes and like the entire season. Anyway, whatever.
I'd say this is still like a fun, trashy show.
I would not call it trashy.
Yeah.
I would say it's fun. I don't know why you're using the word trashy one, because you haven't explained what's trashy about
maybe it's
it.
because you're deep. The deep part of your brain knows it's not very good, and you just can't reconcile that.
I don't think one knows what the word trashy means.
I
mean, like I like Jack in the Box, you know.
Eat your hamburger.
Okay.
Logan,
Right.
talk about a different anime now.
So in the pre-show, when I was talking about Trigun, I said that it had a big sci-fi plot that doesn't show up until way later, and then I felt like a real idiot at the very beginning of Trigun Stampede when they just started on the ship. Like this is of any adaptation of Trigun I've ever seen, like the original, the anime, this is the fastest they have gotten to the big meta plot with knives. And it's I like this adaptation. It's not the thing that I really want the most in the world, which is just Trigun, the manga adapted into anime. But I do think this is very strong. I think that the fights are really well directed. Like just every once in a while, the fight in episode 1 where he just has the one bullet, that whole thing just plays a little bit in my head, and I just get a little bit happier, I think that Orange is doing real justice to this series, even if they're making changes to the manga. I don't think that they're, the manga already exists. It doesn't have to be a perfect one-to-one adaptation, and I think that they're adapting the spirit of it pretty well.
Yeah, it seems like this one is kind of going in a completely different direction to the point where comparing, it's impossible to not compare it to the original anime or the original manga, because obviously you're going to want to do that, but it really is not trying to be the same thing. Like it is much more serious and much more grand immediately, less episodic, much more like the whole beginning sequence has basically just been one arc so far, and it immediately escalated into meeting the main villain and establishing how much of a threat he was super early. And if there is anything that I could detract from it, is that I think it's going too fast right now. I don't think really much of the characters have been given any room to breathe. But that's all in service of a lot of really excellent action and incredible direction and camera work, and just getting to watch Orange flex on everyone in the industry. So that's cool. And that alone will keep me watching basically no matter what happens. So I still don't think it's gotten anywhere near fumbling or being bad or anything like that. I think it's still quite solid. So I'm afraid it's going to get a little too overdramatic for itself. We'll see, because it's missing it. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we have been watching the original one a little bit before this too. It is not wacky. It's missing the tone that I associate with Trigun, but that's okay. It can be different. Things can be different.
All right, and I will say later Trigun in the manga, it does progressively turn the goofiness dial back. So this isn't completely out of scope for Trigun.
Yeah,
at least in the manga. Go ahead, Juan.
Yeah, so I think I'm Tim. Have you watched the original anime before? Or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm the only one that hasn't seen anything of Trigun before, and so this is my first exposure of it, and I so far love it. This is really fucking cool. I think this is my favorite show of the season. Overall, because this is technically a sequel, remake, whatever. So that's why we say Buddy Daddies is the best non-sequel show.
No,
but this
I
is
was counting. I was counting
this.
This is not.
I
it's a
wouldn't call
remake.
it a
It's not.
sequel
It's not.
show.
It's a remake. Yeah, it's its own thing.
Yeah,
I was.
It's
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 probably my number 2.
associated with the original series,
Yeah, but again, this is probably my number 2 of favorite show that we're watching right now. So
it has a relatively low score on Mouth because of the. I'm assuming because of the CG.
It's because people are mad. No,
and also the
people are mad about the
adaptation.
changes.
Adaptation. But ignoring those, this is one of the best shows this season. Holy shit, the CG in this show is incredible. If you hate the CG in this show, then you're not a competent human being. You can set aside the CG-ness of it, because the CG actually works in its favor a lot. The characters are very expressive. Some of the movements in the animation has been so fluid. The action in the show is incredible. And what's his name? Vash,
Yeah.
baby girl. I don't know if he was like this baby girl in the original, but they made him 10 times baby girl in this show.
Trigun. I've been having a lot of fun on the show. I think it is one of the best of the season. I would not compare this to the other Trigun at all. It is very much trying to be its own thing. It's a little bit confusing keeping up with this between this and the manga and the anime, because it's like 3 different versions now. I think it's trying to be a little bit more faithful to the manga, because I think like Wolfwood's like past never got explained in the anime, if like Logan remembers or not.
I didn't watch the anime.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
But no, the manga. Did you read the manga?
Oh yeah, they get a lot, like, really deep into Wolfwood's.
Yeah, and it's like you can see the show leading into it. Mm-hmm. So like I'm totally on board with it. I think it's being its own thing while also being like somewhat more faithful to the original material. I have the action has been phenomenal. No complaints there. I think they built up knives in the series really well. Can't wait for more.
Yeah, highly recommend across the board. Just for the action alone, it's a great time. All right, we're gonna
set aside
go.
your biases for the CG. Watch this show, damn it.
I think you're making up someone to get mad at in your head, Juan. I really haven't seen anyone.
I've seen a lot of people complain about the CG, and I'm like, fuck you.
That's crazy.
A lot of people complaining about the CG.
Okay, that's crazy. I thought we were past that as a society.
Nope.
Okay.
Go on.
Next up, we're going to go into a sequel Power Hour. Okay, there's a lot of shows on this list, and I don't want to talk about all of them. So,
just
Tim, I'm going to say Tim, quickly, the ones that we're not watching, go through and say a few words for ones that you think are doing anything interesting that are worth
on all of them.
No, just whatever you feel like needs to be commented on. I'm fine.
Well, like everything on the list right now, or you want to pace it in between?
No, I'm saying like go through them one by one real quick. Just if you think there's anything interesting to say about them.
So first off, DanMachi, what's this, 4th season part 2? I don't know what it is. Something.
It's too long.
What I've seen DanMachi is. It is the darkest the show. It's the show's been getting really. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster. It definitely like plummeted and hit some very low points in like season like 3, I think it was. But like the show, it's been really interesting this season. It's dark, gritty, bloody, not anything from like what you saw from like the first season. It's, you can really feel the despair. I think the season's gonna be one of my favorites I've seen so far. It's very interesting. Bofuri, I actually don't feel the same kind of like vibe enjoyment with the first season. It might just be because the pacing, they're literally like speed running through the material. They're doing like 1 volume per episode, which is like
that's insane pacing.
That is insane pacing. I think they're gonna slow it down, but like I really am not feeling the same kind of like, I don't know, vibes that I was in season 1. So, but I think other people are enjoying it. But I'm not really feeling it just yet. Bungo, I always have the most fun with Bungo when they do the backstory arcs. This last season was Danzai's arc, and then this season is the detective one. They always like to just kind of like fun flashback. We actually haven't gone back to the main story plot yet, but Wampo's arc has been, Wampo and Danzai have been the 2 like most interesting characters of the cast. Though like Bungo's cast is always like very colorful, but they are the best in my opinion, and I am liking how they handled his backstory, and the black and white was a fun little extra twist as well. And Kyojuu Suri, literally one of the biggest glow up from season 1 season 2. I don't know if it's gonna stay like this, but like season 1, the main issue was like the main characters literally, and they would literally just sit there and like monologue for like the entire episodes, and it was very boring and dragged out. And they fixed that in second season by like literally like getting rid of them. Granted, they're still the main characters, but like we didn't see them at all for those 3 episodes. We had this like very cool like Yuki Onna like love story, murder mystery thing with the main guy, and it was actually like really good, and I was really surprised. I don't know if that's gonna last because the main characters are still the main characters, so maybe we'll go back to what season 1 was like, and they'll go back to being downhill. But honestly, the first like 4 episodes of Kyojuu was generally very impressive. Everyone I talked to had nothing but good things to say about it.
All right.
And
that's it, right?
Guess that's it for Power Hour.
Okay, well, no, we're going to go to the ones we've seen now. Okay.
Super fast.
So, quickly, Tokyo Revengers Season 2 picks up immediately back where it's left off, and it has all the same issues Season 1 of Tokyo Revengers has, and yet I am still compelled to keep watching it, because I was like, they introduced this really big, scary boss guy, and I'm like, ooh, I want to see him and Mikey punch each other. So, congratulations, they got me again. This continues to be some of the more compelling mid out there, but you know what? I'll still keep watching
compelling
it.
Is still compelling.
Is fun. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else has any other thoughts.
Yeah, you pretty much summarized everything.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling less mid and more like good. Though the pacing is bad. In
the pacing
2.
sucks, but yeah, it's solid.
Episode 2 felt like forever.
But yeah, then let's actually get to the interesting one. Vinland Saga Season 2.
The
reason I had to make
depression.
The reason that I had to say I had to make the asterisk about like non-sequel show is because this is competing with the best thing that is happening this season. This show is fucking incredible. Like it's such an interesting development of the main story. We are getting introduced to a whole new side of it. It's wildly different than season 1, and it's being done just really well. Like I wish the visuals were a little bit better. That's how I felt all throughout season 1 as well. But they know when to make it look good when it is impactful, and that has always been worth it so far. And I like Einar. He's a cool character. I like him and
I really hope
Thorfinn's relationship.
Yeah,
and
I hope they're a mainstay.
So
he is.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, farmland. It begins.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Any other Vinland thoughts, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Some people will mildly perturbed at Vinland because they basically rewrote Einar's character completely.
They did?
Did they?
Like he's a very, very different character in the anime than he is in the manga.
I don't remember that being true.
Like for one thing, he never tried to choke out Thorfinn in his sleep.
That's a pretty big change if that didn't happen in the manga.
It was a good scene.
The guy literally like watch him having a nightmare and be like, "Oh, the guy is like lonely," and he like let him alone instead of being like filled with rage and trying to kill the guy.
Well, he was filled with rage from like what happened earlier of like him revealing that he was a Viking.
It was. I think that was
but
a
like
well
in the first episode, like he was not like ever tempted to choke him out in the
because he didn't know that.
Manga.
He didn't know that until that moment. Or earlier that day.
But no, like even in the manga when it's revealed, he doesn't try to do that.
Yeah, it was okay. So
well,
it's
it kind of makes sense though. Like it makes sense.
It makes sense because they're writing in facing the guy. Like we didn't have his whole like farm burning down sequence.
Okay,
getting his mother's
so they're spending more time
developing him.
That like they mentioned it, but they never like showed it in the manga.
Then
I think they put a lot more emphasis.
Yeah.
He's a very different character. I don't know if it's for the better or worse, but he is very different from how he is in the manga.
I still have enjoyed what they've done with it so far, like quite a bit. For
the most part, it's been like faithful to the source material, and I'm enjoying it.
Vinland Saga, good. Watch it.
Yeah, if you are into season 1, you really don't have an excuse. All
Mm-hmm.
right, and that really about does it. For the shows that we are watching this season. We are now going to kind of give our overall thoughts about the season. Where are we at, folks? Where are we at on this one?
Listen, fall 2022, hella heat. We got to cool off somehow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, but I thought cooling off would feel better.
Yeah.
I am pretty disappointed in this season. There is just not very much that stands out. There have been a couple of gems that I'm really thoroughly enjoying. But it's a lot of shows that, like I think I mentioned earlier, they're okay. They're not as compelling to get back out around to. But that's okay. It's okay to have weaker seasons every once in a while, you know. We gotta take a break and all of that. So that's okay. I think that it will start to tick up. I think spring already looks very strong, just based on what we know is coming out. So we'll get there.
We'll get there when we get there.
Exactly. We gotta take our time. So for now that we actually are locked in, we know what we're watching. What are the 3 shows everyone is enjoying the most this season? Probably not including Vinland, just so we don't all say that.
Yeah. You want to go left to right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go first. Trigun Stampede for sure. Like that's my number 1. Buddy Daddies is my number 2. And I didn't come up with a third one, huh? I'm gonna say Hikari. Like even though I was like pretty like harsh on it, it was still very fun and enjoyable. And like I hope it gets better.
Yeah. I will say my favorites are Buddy Daddies, which I said easily the one I've been enjoying the most. I think it's like far and away the best new original show. Then Trigun Stampede, just because I love watching Orange do their work. And then after that, I'm gonna say Tensei Ojo, the princess lesbian show, because I think it is like a surprisingly competently done fantasy anime, and I'm enjoying it and quite a bit.
So for me, number 1 is easy. It's Trigun with a bullet. That's not. I'm not even thinking about that one. Number 2 is pretty solidly Buddy Daddies. And then number 3, especially when we don't have Vinland Saga in the mix, is a lot harder. I think I'm gonna give it to Mou Ippon.
Wow, really?
But yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think it's pretty close with like High Card and some of the other shows. Yeah, but I think it is the best of those.
I think Trigun for sure. I guess Triguns will be one of mine. I think I would give another slot to Tensei Ojo for number 2. And then I think 3, I will go with Kubo-san.
Rip to the delayed show, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So there's some recommendations. You've heard our thoughts. And that is really about it for us today on our mid-season check-in. Join us next time, and you will get our proper wrap-up. We will have all of our takes on all the shows that we watched to completion, which at this point, we dropped a lot. Like, y'all heard the beginning episode. There were a lot of shows we didn't talk about in this one that we like maybe checked out episode 1 and didn't continue with. So it'll be a tight little curated list.
I think it'll be like 7 shows we're going to talk about next episode.
No, I think we'll talk about most shows we talked about this episode.
I can definitely see some cuts here.
Well, it just depends on how much Tim wants to do. But
True.
And then after that, we'll go right into the spring preview, which should be quite exciting as well. So thanks for stopping by, and hope you all enjoy this season for whatever shows you're most looking forward to.
All right, cool. Thanks for checking it out.
All right. Later.